So, hey guys, for those of you that are out there on Facebook tonight, first off, and for those of you that are on the platform here right now, I'm going to introduce you to my really good friend Pete Delmonico. He's an elite marketer. But before I get into describing him and why Pete and I talk and even have a relationship, because I believe there's a reason for everything in life. I just want to apologize to all of you for last weekend. We didn't do a call last weekend. I spent that in the hospital. So I was getting CAT scans and blood work done and everything. I woke up Friday morning and I had bed spins that were unbelievable, but I couldn't get rid of the bed spins. It wasn't just a bed spin and then, okay, stand up and it's going to work itself out. I had to get rushed to the hospital by my wife. I was spinning. So anyhow, I was in a wheelchair for 3 days, two and a half days. And so I couldn't walk and whatnot. So we're here now. I'm on medication right now. Even on this call, I'm on some really good narcotics, Pete, just so you know. Hey, look at Pete's eyes there. He's doing really good. And then
I didn't know it was that serious. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, it was pretty good, but it's not that serious in life and death situation. But for me, it was like I thought, man, I was having a stroke. It felt like I was having a stroke. My left side went numb, my arm went numb, but that was the anxiety. I was having anxiety attacks coupled with the Top Gun spinning. So anyhow, we're cool. I mean, I'm medicated right now and I'm doing the exercises through physiotherapy. My physiotherapist did a FaceTime therapy session with me over the phone because he couldn't come to see me, and it worked 50%. Just got me grounded. The spins are okay if I sit like this, but if I lay down sideways, I'll spin for a couple of minutes and it'll work its way out. So I'll probably be pretty good. Yeah, in about a week, it'll probably work out. So anyhow, so listen, I want to thank Pete Delmonico for coming to the call tonight. Pete's a great guy. You guys are going to figure him out pretty quickly. He's kind of a guy that you don't run into the industry too much unless you're in the upper echelon. I mean, Pete makes more money in 1 month than some people make in a year or two going to work. And one of the things is Pete is so casual about it. You would never know the guy's making like disgusting money that would make your head spin. Never mind my head spin, but your head would spin. He's a casual guy. He has a pretty cool lifestyle. And when I say a pretty cool lifestyle, I'm not talking about, he's not like me where, I do all the clown stuff. I go out and buy exotic cars and, we live in a big house and we own other stuff and things like that. Pete is probably more of a grassroots, down-to-earth network marketing type guy. His interests are not in Lamborghinis and $3 million McLarens and stuff like that. He's kind of a guy that likes to tour. He's kind of like that, just like a casual tourist. He goes around town, he hit the patios. He'll tell us stories. He'll tell you all about his lifestyle. But I'm just setting the stage for it. So he hits all the restaurants, hit the patios, and I think he's kind of retired on that a little bit here. He's got a special diet going on that he can talk about if he wants to. And he's hitting a lot of what do you call them? I remember when I lived in Denver, Colorado for a while, we had this thing called Red Rocks, an outdoor amphitheater. I was living in Denver and we have Red Rocks, the outdoor amphitheater. And I'd go there every single night just to sit there and say, oh my God, this is a creation from God. Never mind having a band in front of you like U2 or, whoever the bands were back in the day in the 90s. But Pete spends a lot of time with music right now. He's checking a lot of music out at bandstands and amphitheaters, outdoor amphitheaters and whatnot. But one of the interesting things about it is, a lot of us got involved in network marketing for the lifestyle, the beautiful house, the beautiful husband or wife, the freedom, Pete's probably done more traveling than anyone that I know. I mean, he's a travel junkie and he'll tell you about that too. I think Pete, you said, I can't remember. It sounded like you said you traveled 50 places in 1 year, some crazy thing like that. You were kind of doing the traveling. You can talk about that in a second. So, one of the really cool things that I really admire about Pete, why I can talk to him, I can't talk to a lot of people in this industry because I think I'm a lot smarter than most people in this industry. I'm being honest about that. That's not ego. I think I am, because most people have no idea what this industry is all about. They have no idea what goes on behind closed doors. They have no idea what goes on at the end of a convention or the end of a big event in Vegas or San Diego or, Atlantis and Bahamas. Pete and I know everything. We know what goes on. We could tell you stories that would blow your mind, that would probably destroy the lives of many of the big influencers out there in the industry if we chose to. We're not going to do that tonight, but I'm just saying there's a good, a bad, and ugly in every industry. And it's amazing when you're at the top where you're connected, you know, like if I was just a silent Susie in this industry, if I was just a distributor and I didn't put myself out there and, you know, become disruptive and, you know, Val kind of, you know, the whatever I do, whatever people think of me, I really don't care. But that's why I was able to attract Pete in my life, and Pete, me attracting Pete, because we're kind of like that. We're shit disturbers in an interesting way. I do it my own way. He'll do it in his own way. We're truth seekers. We understand how the money's really made. We understand who's making the money. We understand how corporate works. We understand things that you guys wouldn't even begin to understand, even if you think you understand. I had somebody last week that told me something about, you know, yeah, I've run companies too. No, you haven't run companies. You might have had paper routes. You know, you've never run an MLM. You know, you've never had an MLM company before. So it's a different animal. It's a different beast. And Pete's just a down-to-earth guy. So you're not going to see millions of dollars on flashy cars and $65,000 a month paychecks going into this and that. He's living life with his wife and he's having a great time doing it. And I think he's got a dog too. Pete, you got a dog, don't you? You got two. You got two.
2 dogs, 2 cats.
2 dogs, 2 cats, and he's not. I don't think he has any infant kids running around the house changing diapers. So there's one right there. There's
My
a kid
assistant.
right there. So Pete's down there close to La Jolla in San Diego. He's in the San Diego region, and he just picks up and goes from there. He can get on a cruise ship from San Diego. He can go anywhere in the world he wants, anytime, any hour of the day, and it's a really cool thing. So Pete, how you doing, man?
I'm doing good, bro. Well,
Hey.
we only have 1 runway here, so it's a little harder to go all over the world from
You
San
guys
Diego.
only have
but
1 runway
Only 1 runway.
in San
Yeah.
Diego? Are you serious? Why?
San Diego's not a big city, believe
But
it or not. How many
yeah,
people you think live downtown?
I would think in the downtown core of San Diego. I don't know, but I've been thinking because I'm a Canadian and I'm thinking like San Diego is such an attraction. It's probably the only half decent place left in California. Like California's gone to a shit basket, but
Oh yeah.
I would say I'm thinking there's got to be like 1 million too.
No.
No, am I way off?
Way off. So San Diego County is a huge county, one of the biggest in the country, about 2 million people. The city of San Diego is about maybe 75,000 people.
Are you
It's
kidding
tiny.
me?
Swear to God. When
Oh
I
my
was
God.
when I had a real estate office, it was only 40,000. We only had 40 buildings. So yeah, it's grown a little bit, but yeah, it's a small
Yeah.
city. I can walk around the whole city in one day easily.
That's
Yeah.
amazing. And that's what
Yeah.
you did though, right? You were hanging out in outdoor patios and all kinds of stuff, weren't you?
Yeah. Well, I moved on Halloween. I moved 25 years ago from New York. It had snowed on September 29th. I said, I got to get out of here. I was here in Carlsbad, which is kind of a retirement beach town up the hill. I landed there on Halloween, and my buddy was here from high school. I went out that night, had a blast. I said, I made a great decision. And then I worked at a little company that made websites for real estate agents. And I ended up taking over the company. Some of the owners made some goofball mistakes. I took over, and then I linked up with a guy and we became homes.com. And so I had that great domain name and like 2 million houses. Yeah, I was the first one to do virtual tours where you could walk through the house. I used to use a software called Bamboo and iPix. So we did that, and that was great. We got caught up in the .com bubble pretty much. It was a little bit after that, but it screwed everything up. And
So you're
nothing I did
collecting domain
wrong.
names, hey? You're collecting domain names?
I wish I owned when I had that domain name, it was worth like 40 million. I didn't own it. It was our company, but yeah, that was a lot of fun. So I got into like subscription-based marketing. So I kind of fell in love with that and saw the potential of that. Build something once, do
Explain
it right.
subscription-based marketing. What is that?
Well, in my company, it was build something great, build it once, and then get paid residual for a long, long time. Because once the realtors loaded all their listings on there, and they had this, they had the ball rolling. If they tried to take down the website or not pay their payment, it made them really look bad. It almost looked like, oh, this guy's failing. He doesn't even have his website anymore. So there was a kind of a FOMO there, but it was a great business, made a ton of money. After that, I wanted to do something. And even though I wasn't ever really into real estate, I was more into computer stuff. I wanted to stay in real estate. So I had my own mortgage company for a couple of years from about 2000 2 to like 2007. And then that was incredible. We made a ton of money and had a bunch of locations. I never saw the FHA loans coming. So I literally got out of the business, and I was having a hard time making good money anymore by then, but I never saw the FHA coming. So I got out of it. And then I realized, oh my God, you just spent, almost a decade. Do you really want to get out of it? So I started doing short sales to try to help people. And I was good at that. And I helped people get out of a lot of bad loans. Then I got into loan modification. And that was pretty cool at first, but it got a little bit crazy and people wouldn't honor their agreements and stuff. So I finally decided I would just open a real estate office. I'll try my hand at that. So I opened a real estate office in about 2009 or 10. And I did that for a little while. I didn't really feel
Where was that? Where was that office, Pete? Where
that was in downtown San Diego, right in San
Okay.
Diego, selling condos mostly, a few houses, but condos. The problem, and nothing against real estate agents, but I just didn't feel like I was doing anything great because they either like the way the condo looks and they can qualify for it, or they don't. It's not that I'm saying. I'm not gonna like salesman someone into a condo they don't want. So, I just was just searching, and I actually got a phone call one day in my office, and it was one of those automated messages about doing high ticket sales. And I'm like, I'm a good salesman on the phone. So I took the call. I actually hung up on the call, and then I had a terrible meeting with my partners. And then I called it back and listened to this 15-minute message. I mailed the guy like $3,500 in a magazine. And it was like this high ticket stuff. And I was actually pretty good at it, but there was no duplication. People didn't want to do the calls. We were using a dialer. I didn't know. So I kind of got into network marketing in a weird way where I didn't really
Hold on
have
for a
anybody.
second. Hold on for a second. You said something really cool there. So you're talking about you're talking about taking a Playboy magazine and then putting $3,500 in the centerfold?
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy.
I just was so desperate to get out of what I was doing. I'm like, this guy sounds like he knows what he's doing. He didn't, but so I never really had a mentor kind of going in. And then I saw cyclers, and I was like, oh my God! I did, I tried a cycler. I made a fortune. I'm like, okay, this is terrible. I tried, I didn't like high ticket because I didn't like the duplication, and I didn't feel like the value was there. And then I finally got invited up to. It's okay to mention people's names, right? I got invited up to the Del Mar Hilton by my friend Franco Gonzalez. And I showed up, and David Wood was there. And there was only 7 people there: Jonathan Budd, this chick Raven, Franco, me, and like 2 other people. And I listened to David Wood talk, and I was just like, I love this guy, man. I love his mindset. He's brilliant. He's hilarious. He's kind of quirky. And the meeting ended, and I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. They hadn't really launched Empower yet, or they had launched it, but they hadn't had an event yet. And he walked me out to my car, and he said, hey, so I'm going to see you in Atlanta, right? And I said, no, I'm not going to Atlanta. And he said, well, what if you did go to Atlanta? What would you do there? I said, well, my grandfather's there. He's in the VA hospital. And he was like, oh, don't you want to see your grandpa again? I said, well, yeah. And he's like, well, then I'll see you in Atlanta, right? And he just like NLP'd me, and I was like, oh my God. So I booked a thing, went, had the best time ever, met one of my best friends, John Gilardi, met Lisa and Curtis, met tons of great people, and I was in, and I was actually doing a cycler at the time. That was terrible, but I didn't know any better. And so I kind of got a taste of what the real world was like professionals, Lawrence Tam, all these cool people. And I became kind of a weasel to get in with these big shots because I had just started. I wasn't making a bunch of money. I had made a bunch of money in real estate, so I did have some confidence. I made 6 figures the month I went to the event from real estate. So I did have confidence. I had a couple people rip me off on marketing things right when I got there too. But I had to learn the hard way, and it was a great company, great time, learned a lot, hung out with great people. My friend Mac, Chuck Marshall, great people that I got to know really well.
So that kind of, I was going to bring that question up with you tonight because a lot of people that are sitting here watching, they're not in the same sphere as you and I are, or others that we know. We have the same connection, the same people. And I was going to say to you, like, I got involved in this industry 45 years ago. This is going to be my 46th year.
Wow.
1978, I got started. So it's been a very interesting journey, going from nitwit marketer to network marketer to corporate executive to, doing over $2 billion in group sales and stuff like that. But, a lot of people don't realize when you first come into this industry, it took me 17 years to have the confidence to become a speaker, just to go and do my first presentation. My very first presentation took me 17 years to do. You took a shortcut. Your baptism was pretty quick. You got to hang out with a guy like Franco right away, boom, and then David Wood right away, boom. So your baptism to the fire was like really quick. And then one of the things I was thinking about tonight before we got on the call is I was going to say, so Pete, how did you become so connected in this industry so fast? Because most of these people that'll be watching this, they're not relevant. They're beautiful people, they're nice people, they're in network marketing, but nobody knows their names. They're not relevant. They'd be considered distributors in a downline. They'd be given a specific ID number in a database where you and I, company owners, know who we are. My name pops up most people know who Val Smith is. Pete Delmonico, everyone knows who he is. Like, company owners know who you are. How do you put yourself in that position? And you did it in such a shorter period of time than I did. I had to take 17 years of beating the shit out of myself, excuse the language here, but beating the shit out of myself to overcome my psychological fears and low self-esteem and low self-worth, to realize that I was probably one of the best speakers in the industry for what I do. So how did you build that reputation that, hey Pete, when people say, hey Pete, what was that all about?
I think I laughed that like I'm a weasel, because I would figure out ways to, like, okay, so I met David Wood, but when I went to the event, he probably forgot who I was. So I went and grabbed him a glass of wine after the event and tried to, hey Dave, here you go, talk to him for 2 seconds, still nowhere. I ended up getting to know a couple of the cool guys. My friend was having a birthday party, John Gilardi. And so I got invited up to his room, John.
Oh yeah.
And I got invited up to his room. So we became really good friends. And I would hear somebody was like, oh man, I wish we had pizza. And I would go get pizza and bring it to him. And like when we had the second Empower event, I was able to get in Tracy Walker's room with all her leaders. Nobody knew me, but I tagged along with Tom, the furry hat guy. And at the third event in Austin, I went up to Mike Dillard's penthouse and I got to meet other people that I had not met. And I just found a way to kind of sneak around and pal around with the right people, even though I didn't have the paycheck to prove it. I mean, not even close.
So you're kind of like the wedding crasher, hey? Like the wedding crasher.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah, when I wasn't pitching people on cyclers in the elevator and stuff, I was just clueless, dude. Like, I was just clueless. But by the time Empower kind of ended, which was the summer or the fall of 2013, I had met almost all the good guys. Me and John were becoming really close.
Is that when it ended?
For me it did. Yeah, they came out with the Blog Beast thing and I didn't like it. And John called me. He said, dude, it's time to move on. Let's work together. So me and him did something in the fall of 2013, worked out really great. We made a ton of money. He said in the spring of 2014, he said, and at this point, I do have a mentor. I've got him. I know Lisa and Curtis at this point.
Yeah.
I'm getting to know people. I still don't really know David Wood because he was always so busy. And Mac, my buddy Mac. And, so I'm definitely getting to know some good people. And so in the spring of 2014, John said, let's do a different deal. Let's do a diet. I said, a diet? And he said, yeah. I said, okay. I mean, I'm a few pounds overweight. Let's do it. So we did a diet and I broke the platinum record, me and him, in 14 days. And then I broke the diamond record in a little over a month. And it was like 6 months. Wasn't a big company, it wasn't the greatest experience, but the owner was really generous to me. He flew me out and we've been on ski trips and stuff like that. So that was cool. And so I got a little bit of notoriety for doing that. I never worked so hard in my life, like for 30 days.
That leads to this question. So you and Gilardi were cranking it out, doing good numbers, just 14 days, you're banging them in. People always ask me, how do I do it? They always say, like, there's probably nobody in the industry that is giving back to downlines more than I have. I think I've traded over 400,000 spillover. The last, the company went now 88,000 people. all that wouldn't have happened if I didn't do the Val Smith thing, because the other guys aren't capable of doing that. So that's not to brag or boast, but I'm just thinking, so what was your method of operation when you and Gilardi jumped in? You kind of flown out, you checked it out, you took a look at the operation, you got wined and dined, you got schmoozed by the big man at the top, what was your method of operation? You guys leave the office, you talk, you say, okay, so what did you do? What did that look like? What was the blueprint? What was the game plan? What did you guys implement right away? A plan of action? What did that plan of action look like? The execution to just go nuts like you guys do in every program.
Okay. All right. So yeah, I'll back up a little bit. So the thing about Empower was I loved it, but I didn't like blogging, and I didn't have an email list, and I didn't like to copyright. So I just kind of finessed that deal. And then the tool suite, I just recruited like crazy. But with the one that I did with John, I didn't really have anything to give other than time and motivation. So I literally would harass every person on my messenger, on Facebook. I mean, I was relentless. The owner would call me up and go, dude, shut up, go to bed, stop it. And I called John. It's funny because I called John. I go, John, we're going to break the platinum record. Where are you? He goes, I'm on vacation in Sedona, Arizona. Good luck. And he's like, and I'm like, you bastard. I go, okay. So I just kept going. And it was just, and I made some mistakes. I let some people screw me in that deal, but I just kept going.
Yeah.
And they stole, like they just, some shenanigans, but I just kept going, and I went for the month, and broke the record. And then the owner, he didn't schmooze us at all. Then the owner flew us down to his house, put us up in a beach house. We went, hung out, and then did some trips after that. But no, it was after we accomplished everything. And that was cool for a few months. It wasn't a big company. I really felt like they could have been more appreciative of the distributors and stuff like that. So I just decided, we went on an Alaskan cruise, me and my wife. I got all my bonuses, I got all my stuff. And then I realized, the comp plan wasn't as good as I would have wanted. And I just decided I make quick decisions when it comes to moving on. So I just was sitting on a cruise ship, an Alaskan cruise, and I said, I'm done. And my wife's like, what do you mean? I said, I'm done. And then I made a hasty decision, Val. I got back home. I bought a bulldog. So that killed our travel for a while. But I gave this girl $2,500 to join a company that wasn't a great company. I just wanted to move on. And it was a cashback company. You probably heard of it. And that was not a great experience. Again, met some cool people, got to schmooze with some big shots there and everything, and got to hang out with this was the first time I got to hang out with some local marketers like Frank Kern and different people like that that I got to meet. So that was cool. That part of it I like. I'm still good friends with a couple people from there. But I also almost came to blows with a couple people from there because they were liars, and I couldn't stand them in the end. And if they see me now, they should run. I'm just kidding. So anyway, so that I would say that was my first bad experience. And then I met a couple gentlemen in 2013, kind of before I even did the diet, before I was even done with Empower. I had met some dudes here in San Diego talking about some technology stuff. And I met these guys, and something about them, I just kind of fell in love with their mindset and everything. And I said, I hope I get to work with those guys someday. So after the cashback thing ended, they hit me up and they said, we're going to launch something in a few, 6 months. And I joined and done that for many years. And it's been a great
with that, you met these guys face to face though, right?
They had a meeting in San Diego, and the thing that they did failed. Actually, it was a tech thing, and it failed. And it was still a great idea. It was just a little bit ahead of its time, but I didn't care about that it failed. I loved the way they thought. I loved the guy that was behind it. I loved the two guys that were the distributors. Mike and Mike are their names. And I just was like, I got to figure out a way to work with these guys. And then about 2 years later, a little over 2 years later, in 2015, they hit me up, and I joined, and that's been a great experience.
You brought up a really Good point. I don't know if anyone's listening to what Pete just said there. Like, I'm locked in because he's, you know, it's a clone of me. I don't give a crap about the comp plans as much as other people do. He just said he joined a company because he had to get to work with X amount of these people, the X factor.
Right.
He wasn't thinking whether it's going to be 15, 20 years. It would have been nice if it was, but Pete is the same thing I do. And because of me, a lot of people come into my companies, and even if they don't make a lot of money, they get to cross recruit, they get to cross sponsor, unfortunately, and they get to meet so many connections, all because of what I put together. You know,
Right.
and so what I'm saying is, you're basically looking at the relationship side of it more than you're focused on, well, I got to make the money. Now, you know, the money is going to come, but you know, the relationship side of it is the
Right.
key to everything we do in network marketing. And, you know, one of the things you do that I don't do, I'm more of a recluse, believe it or not, but I don't want to be, but I am, because I'm up here in Canada, I guess, because all the actions down there in the States, or, you know, different parts. Canadians are, you know, we're a little bit of a different mindset, but you're always somewhere with people. Like, I see pictures, there's you and Gilardi, you know, on a cruise ship singing songs, doing karaoke, and, you know, whatever.
Yeah.
You guys are up to no good. And I say that in a fun, loving way. You guys are always, you know, stirring the pot somewhere. You're in, you know, the picture of a group of people. You guys are always connecting and building that, you know, the hug or the shake hand or breaking bread or having a
Right.
drink. I mean, you're right. You guys are right in there, and that's the glue. Like they say, you know, being in a marriage without any physical touch is that's the recipe for a divorce. And,
Right.
you know, and in network marketing, if you don't have that bond, like, you know, that's the glue. You and Gilardi are going to be pretty tight for the rest of your lives, probably, I would think, you know.
I think so. He's mad at me right now because I didn't go down to the Emerald Coast with him in Florida. He's down there enjoying it. But you know, a lot of people I have a better relationship with when I don't work with them. And we had a great relationship working, don't get me wrong. But
Yeah.
eventually, you know, 8 years ago or whatever, he didn't want to do what I wanted to do. And I didn't want to do what he wanted to do after that. And I just always support him. I mean, he had a company. I went on the launch cruise with them, and I even joined and supported it and everything. But no, sometimes I'm just better friends with people if I don't work with them. And then, you know, then we will be lifelong friends, like you said. But no, I mean, yeah, it is about the relationships. You know, I don't want to talk smack about anything, but like the diet thing I did when we had the event, they got a free stage. It was like this high off the ground. I had girls flying in from all over the country. This was their dream come true, to hit diamond and platinum and everything. And I was disappointed, man. I'm like, you got to treat people, you know, better than that. And that's happened a couple of times where I didn't feel like the company really was doing it. But my last company, they treat everybody great, so no problems there. But yeah, it's an awesome industry. I never really did it for the money. I mean, I love the money, but I always just wanted to do great things and be part of cool things. It's a hard business. I mean, there's a lot of times where I could have made more money just staying in real estate, you know, especially the first couple of years. So I took a whole year from 2012 to 2013. I took a whole year to phase out of that in full time into network marketing, because I'm married. I don't want to, you know, screw up my wife's life or anything like that. We were in England. We went over to London and Scotland and Ireland and Wales for 42 days. And I was at the Stonehenge thing.
Yeah, Stonehenge.
And I just decided right there and then, I looked at my wife, I said, I'm going to sell the real estate office when I get back. Because there was some guys that wanted to open a cell phone store there. I said, I'm going to sell it when I close it down when we get back, not do it anymore, and do this full time. And she said, let's do it. And I was making videos and stuff and having fun. So that was really, you know, it's a tough business if you have to have the money right now. I feel bad for people that desperately join MLM. And I think that can lead into something else we should talk about, is a lot of people are not even joining MLMs. These Ponzi schemes, these crypto scams, these quick money things, these are not multi-level marketing. These are illegal money games. So, you know, I'm glad that I've made a lot of bad decisions. I've hurt people with my stupid decisions. But they've not been based on greed or or money. They've just been misconception of what was, what I thought was reality. And I haven't joined Ponzi's or anything like that. Just, companies where, like the rebate thing, it wasn't really a good idea. The diet thing I did, it wasn't really a great idea. So I had to find out, later in the hard way, and I don't regret doing anything. But I think if you desperately need money, MLM is a dangerous world, because you might make a hasty decision and sacrifice your morality and everything out, like, to get a quick buck. So
but
I'm lucky I didn't do it that way. I didn't, even though I didn't really have a mentor when I joined, I didn't do it because I wanted to stick it to people and take their money.
Yeah, but you also didn't need the money at the time. There's a lot of people here.
No.
Like, I mean, Tracy and I know we get people that, like Tracy runs another segment of the company. She gets people sending her emails, yelling at her over $3, over $24, over $74. And to be in that type of situation in life where you lose your mind and start, becoming not a very nice person, and
Right.
that's pretty bad. I mean,
Right.
that's trailer park, right? So
Right.
that's,
I grew up
that's
poor,
a dangerous
Val.
part of the industry. When $74 means a lot to you, or $3 means a lot to you, or $300 means a lot to you. I mean, everyone has a right to be paid in every and all companies. But to see, the mental illness that kicks into place with a multitude of people, but it's not their fault. It's that's just the way they live, the environment they live in, and maybe COVID did a number on them too. Who knows, right? Like, I mean, that whole COVID thing. I'm not talking about the injection, but I think just a lot of people, it changed the world. That whole COVID episode, I think, it affected our industry too. Would you agree?
Yeah. Oh yeah, big time. I think people got a false sense of how easy it was to work online. We talk about that in Zooms and stuff. It's like, that wasn't reality. Everybody did well during COVID with these businesses, but now it's time to get back to work. But yeah, I grew up pretty poor, so I've never really been a materialistic person. I mean, I've had phases in my life where I wanted to have a Rolex and do different stuff like that, and I've done that. But at this point, I just want to be good at what I do. I want to learn. I have a lot to learn still. It's an incredible industry. I want to identify why people make decisions. I really, for the life of me, can't figure out why people join. And some of the smartest people, I thought, just do really dumb things. Actually, a lot dumber than anything I've ever done in this industry, where they're risking millions of dollars. I mean, you guys will see. I mean, in the next not too long, you're going to see there's going to be some big scandals of people that are really dumb and greedy and have really, we're talking about millions of dollars where you're not going to be able to just give it back. You're going to face some music. And thank God I was, at least smart enough to stay away from that stuff. And Val's certainly smart enough to stay away from that stuff. But it's like watching a train wreck or something, watching some of these people,
What do you think of membership clubs, man? Paying out commissions on membership clubs?
If you're not getting anything for the membership, that's a dangerous game. It's illegal. I mean, now if you were offering a bunch of different products for that membership, not just your own products, you might be able to get away with it, but no, that you can't do that. You also can't pay commission on kits. They used to be kits. Now they're
that's
sign up fees. I mean, everybody knows. I knew that the day I joined. I mean, but yet people still do it. It's crazy. It's crazy. You can't pay ROI on money. You can't get money on money. Val can't give me $1,000 and I make $100 commission on it, unless I'm a stockbroker and I work at a brokerage and the money goes through the brokerage. That's the only legal way to get money on money. And of course, the money would have to go into an investment, not just a fund or something. So I don't understand why everybody can't figure this out. This is simple. Now, I was a stockbroker before MLM, so maybe I know a couple little things, but it seems like common sense to me. You can't make money on money. If you're running over to Dubai all the time, it's probably not a legit business. If it's constantly, if you're joining 4 or 5 things a year, you're not doing it right, man. You're sadly mistaken if you think you're in network marketing, man. And I see people launching like every month they're doing something else. The funniest one
What do
You
you
want to hear
think?
the funniest one?
What do you? Yeah, tell me. And after, just end it with,
Yeah.
what do you think of people running 7, 8 different business opportunities, multiple streams?
They're insane. That's not what multiple streams means. Multiple streams means you make $1 million a year in MLM. You got some real estate. You got some money in stocks over here. You've got a dry cleaner on Main Street. It doesn't mean 5 or 6 or 8 MLMs. That's insane. I do know 3 or 4 people that can pull it off, but that's out of that's out of probably millions of people. I know a couple people that are good at that, but they may even regret it in the end. They might have been able to build one big one.
Yeah.
But oh, here's the craziest one, the new one. I think it's going to launch. So the new one is it's a one-time fee. They put you in a chat. They won't tell you what it is. And then they delay to try to get more people in. And then, supposedly everybody just joins at once, and it's like hilarious.
What do you
They
mean
keep
by that?
up and up.
What type of chat? Do they put you?
Ways.
Do they put you in Telegram, or do they put you in WhatsApp, or what are they doing?
Well, I wanted to see what it was, so I got put in a Facebook Messenger, and it keeps getting delayed, and it's hilarious, man. Every schmuck and con artist is in there, and I'm just gonna laugh when they launch and then exit the group, and I don't know. I'll try to hold my tongue, but I love people, man. I mean, I even love some people that do Ponzi's. I pray that they'll somehow see the light. I try to chastise them. I try to believe that they're good people that are just ignorant. I guess at some point you got to realize that they're really not good people. They're dirtbags. But everybody makes mistakes a couple of times. When you do it, 23 times, it's like you're a crook, man. You're not a good person, really, if you keep doing that to people, because everybody gets hurt.
You had a couple, without mentioning any names, I won't name any names here, but you had a couple guys that are pretty prominent on Facebook that talked you into investing some money into a company. And I think you lost about $250,000 on that deal, didn't you, in crypto or something?
Yeah, I lost 5 Bitcoin. Yeah. What they did is they gave me $700,000 worth of crypto, but it was worthless. And then I didn't want to promote it, and I just was like, "Nah, I'm not promoting them." And they just harassed me to no end, and I just was sick of it. So I put in 5 Bitcoin. At the time it wasn't that much money. It was like 15 or 30 grand or something. But yeah, that hurts.
Yeah, but that went up when crypto
went up to 350 grand. Yeah, it went up to 350 grand.
So my question to you, yes,
I've done that a couple of times, Val. I've been bamboozled out of a Bitcoin here or there. Probably 20 altogether. It is what it is.
So my question to you is this:
never happen again.
A couple of the names that I'm not going to get into. I mean, they're running around the internet stating they've made over 10, 15 million dollars in the industry. Why did they need you to do it?
They probably wanted my audience, which I never gave them. I gave them my money, but I never gave them an audience. And I never will. Yeah, I mean, it's happened a few times. It's part of the industry. I mean, I would imagine that happens to people on Wall Street and stuff too. But I just take it as a lesson. It won't happen again. I pray it won't happen again. I think I'll be smart enough. But I've also, that has screwed me up a little bit when it's come to making good investments. I could have made an investment in April. I knew about it the day it launched. I probably could have made 50 million. But I asked a couple people not their permission, but their opinion. And they told me, no, don't do that. That's a terrible idea. And then as soon as I hung up, they went and did what they told me not to do. And then I didn't learn about it till about a week later. And then I bought the investment just out of spite. And it was a stupid, God bless you. It was a stupid idea. So, like I said, I have a lot to learn in MLM. I have a lot to learn in life still, and that's okay. That's what makes it interesting. Not materialistic. So, I can live a good life, in my opinion. Like you said, I can walk around. Today we went down to the new Margaritaville, and I was in heaven, man. It's just, I'm like, I love this city. I love seeing cool, nice things. I was bummed we lost our football team, but I love our baseball park. I don't really know if I could ever move from here because the weather is just so good and it's just so bad everywhere else. I could probably live in Edmonton before I could live in like Florida or Texas. I can't
Really?
stand the heat. Oh,
Wow.
I don't like the heat at all. The cold I can deal with. I don't like the heat, and I hate being hot. I hate humidity. So, yeah, that kind of drives me. I know I live in an overpriced place, and I get hit with more taxes than I should and stuff, and I could easily remedy that. But to me, it's worth it to live where I want to live, and and live the life I want to live. And I'm glad I chose network marketing as the life I wanted to live. It's been a lot of fun. And even the times I've gotten bruised and beat up, I still learned something from it. And now the name of the game is to move forward and just keep making good decisions. If I keep making good decisions, then it'll turn out really good, and then I can help a lot of people. I hope.
If you were to
That's all I
join
want to really do.
if you were to join an MLM program that cost you $500 and for some reason it didn't work out for you, would that haunt you for months? Would that destroy
No,
your day, your week, your month,
no,
your
hell
relationship with
no.
your wife?
Wouldn't even destroy my day. No, I wouldn't care.
But you know what I see,
What
but
would
you see what I
bother me
just
is that
said?
I
You see what I
spent.
just said?
Yeah.
That what I just said though, I just said would it destroy your day if you lost $500? It wouldn't affect you. It'd be like spending lunch. And that's the way it is for me. If I lost $10,000, Tracy and I lost $6,000 a week and a half ago. We don't even talk about it. We could care less. We're not even thinking about it. We just waved it goodbye and we're not doing, but the whole point is, the thing in network marketing though, Pete, because we're looking at the masses. If they feel they lost out on like $90, they feel they lost out on $2. It totally mentally disrupts their personality beyond, and it affects their relationship at their houses, excuse me. It affects everything they're doing online. It affects everything. They can't get that. They can't get that. That virus out of their head. I mean, so I'm just sitting here thinking like that is believe it or not, that is a reality for some people. They are literally mentally screwed up. And I'm thinking, I keep trying to think like, was I like that? I probably was. When I was living in a basement apartment at one time. I was probably thinking that, maybe I was, but I just can't even relate to that now. To lose $10,000 is nothing. And I'm not saying that it's nothing. It is something, but I'm just saying I'm not going to let it dictate my relationship with my kids, my spouse,
Right.
going to where I'm going. It'll be there and I'll be pissed off about it, but it's not gonna dominate and control my behaviors,
Right.
On social media or
I'd
outside.
be more annoyed if I spent like 3 months working on it or something and brought other people in, and then it would be the time that would bother me. But no, the money should never bother you. I mean, we all make mistakes.
Yeah, and that's it with money. Like people don't realize too that this is everything in life. When you become autonomous and independent, everything is a risk. Everything is a risk, right? There's no guarantees. And I used to teach us in Mentors in Motion. I used to say, like, I used to get flown into companies and, they pick me up at the airport and, they hick you up. And I'd always get to stay at the owner's house. They wanted me to see the mansion and enjoy the pool and take you out to the nicest restaurant. And then you go to the boardroom and they put all these fancy cars in the parking lot. They make sure a lot of things are staged. Everyone's wearing their best clothes for that particular day. And you got the big cherry wood desk, and then you go to a boardroom meeting and there's a blank check sitting on the table. It's like there's a blank check sitting on the table there, and that's where you choose to become the prostitute and allow yourself to work for the pimp, right?
Right.
So,
Yeah.
it's just really amazing the way this whole industry works, and people are focused on the money when they should be focused on people.
Right. Did what was his name? Tom, did he ever fly you out to the
Tom
$65
Maurer
million
offered to fly me out. Tom Maurer, guy. Yeah, Tom Maurer.
Me too. Me too. Yeah.
Yeah, Tom and I used to sit up here, right? I'm sitting in this chair, and then I have a couch over there. I just lay down, and Tom and I used to talk at 2:30 in the morning. Tom, you saw his house. I never was at his house, but I don't know if you were at his house. But Tom would do the video tour. Like he had a 63,000 square foot mansion. He had a mountain inside the house. So he had an indoor swimming pool with a mountain, literally a man-made mountain with tunnels in it and stuff. And anyhow, Tom and I would lay on the couch and we would talk. Like he would lay on his couch or wherever he's sitting, and I laying on my couch. We talk at 2:30 in the morning about the beginnings, about everything, about parenting. Tom was like 71, I think, when I was talking to him. He passed away, unfortunately, 2 years ago, but his wife was 29. beautiful
Yeah.
lady. Yeah, like he was,
Russian. He couldn't
yeah,
stay away
Russian,
from
yeah.
those Russian
Well,
ladies.
he was a demigod, like a
Yeah.
demigod. Like, I mean, I don't say God, I say demigod. So
Yeah.
he would be in Russia and he'd be on stage, charismatic, and the man was worth about $900 million. He was a bit close to a billionaire, right? So
Yeah.
and he did have the largest manufacturing facility for health and nutritional products,
Yeah,
400,000.
he was making like 5 Hour Energy, and like I think he was making Mona V and
Yeah, he
different
was doing
stuff.
it. Well, he was doing it. He did 57 MLM companies, and he also did Costco products and for Sam's Club and private labeling for some of the big grocery store chains. So he was raking in the dough, and like he would sit there. He and I would sit there. We strategically at nighttime, like I didn't have the money to do it. I'm not worth that much. Like I'm worth okay, but I'm not like not in that. Never will ever be in that neighborhood. He would sit there and say, "Can you help me acquire this company?" Because he knew I was
Wow.
really good with the relationships. Everyone, at the corporate level loves me type of thing because I'm, they see me as a benefit in conversation, and I could always make them rich if they ever wanted to. But he wanted me to, and it was funny. A health and nutritional company out of Arizona with a very interesting owner, still running today, offered his company to Tom for $10 million.
Wow.
Yeah, and so what Tom did is he didn't. And the company's still running today, and some of the people that are watching this are a part of that company right now. I can tell you right now, they're out of Arizona and they're in the health and nutritional industry. And anyhow, so Tom could have bought it for $10 million, but what Tom did is he took some of the he took a look. He had his staff order some of their products from that company, and he recreated them and made them a whole lot better. Because he said
Wow.
Tom would always come back to me. He'd say, "You know what we do?" He says, "We have a division here at Sissel," because he owns Sissel. He had a division at Sissel where they would literally order the MLM products from all the other companies. And I wish Tom was alive today, because I'd bring him in on this call if he was alive today. I'll never forget this as long as I live. And I'd sit there and I asked Tom one night, my wife was sitting in the room, and I said, "Tom, I'm going to ask you an interesting question. I don't know if anyone's ever asked you this before, but you market for some of the biggest health and nutritional companies that people look up to and think are the greatest." He just doesn't he never did Melaleuca, because Melaleuca can manufacture their own stuff, because that dude,
Yeah, you don't want to mess with Frank.
yeah, Frank's pretty wealthy dude, and man, there's a horror story with that I could tell you too that happened to, but I won't get that. But there's really weird shit happened there. But anyhow, so Tom, 57. Tom's not. This is off the record, and I don't mind saying it now. Tom's gone. He doesn't care, But
Right.
I said out of the 57 MLM companies, and some of them are the biggest that people are making over $300,000 a month in and whatnot. I said, which one would you say has the best proprietary ingredients going in there? And we're sitting, and I just sat there, and Tom was quiet for a second, and he said, Val, I'm going to tell you something. He said, of all the companies that I manufacture for, he said, I wouldn't feed any of this shit to my cows.
Whoa.
And I will never forget that off the record conversation as long as I live. And Tom, he owned cattle. He was a cowboy. He had thousands of acres. He owned the mountains, and so like a mountain region there and all. He owned everything. And he just said, and I said, and I sat there and I went quiet for a second. And then I said, so why would you make, if you believe that these products are shit, like they're not the quality that the website's saying and that their advisory board's saying and that their company's saying, why would you make this for them? And he said, I have to. He said, that's my business. We're in the manufacturing. And he said, if you came to me as a client and you asked me for a certain proprietary, makeup formulation to build a product, he says, we're going to make it for you because that's what you demand for your customer. But he said, if I knew there was something that was toxic to the point of physically harming somebody, like, putting in, arsenic or something like, there is arsenic in products, believe it or not, but not enough to kill people in some products. But he wouldn't break that limit. But he said, this is what we're contracted to do. This is how we make hundreds of millions of dollars. And so it's really funny. One of the things, like one of my biggest beefs about, and you tell me how you feel, Pete, we can talk about this.
Okay.
So health and nutritional companies, every health and nutritional company says they have the best freaking products on the planet. We got the best this and that. But who is that really coming from? when you got a whole bunch of distributors, like if I were running out there today, then I joined a company and I went out there and told you, Pete, this is phenomenal for your body. We've got, we've got the best enzymes, or we got the best, I don't know anything about health and nutrition. That's why I stay away from it, because I'm an idiot. I would be doing you a disservice. I would be unethical. I wouldn't be truthful as a human being. I don't know anything about health and nutrition. I know nothing. I know everything about Wendy's, Taco Bell, McDonald's. That's where I go. But outside of that, I don't know anything about health and nutrition. So you got all these distributors running around the internet saying, oh, I love the products. I love the products. I get that. But do you really love the products? Do you really know what's in the product? And the reason why I say that too is because every time I see these, health and nutritional Kool-Aid activists out there in the industry, I automatically go back to Tom and what he said to me that night, that he wouldn't feed shit to his cows. A lot of toxic products out there that are being passed as organics and a lot of other interesting things. Like, I'm just saying. So how do you feel about that? I mean, I don't know. Like, that's just where I'm at. Like, I trust Tom because he and I were really tight for the time we were tight. And I mean, obviously he was biased and he had an agenda. I would say that. But at the same time, I trust the man. He was a engineer in the food industry, unlike anyone His science was like light years ahead of anyone else. He knew what a good product was.
Oh yeah, I love Tom. I used to talk to him for hours. He used to type me the longest diatribes. I always wished his company was a little bit more attractive to me. I probably would have
me too
joined it. I don't know, Sissel, it sounded ladylike. It was all pink and stuff.
Yeah, it sounded sissy, like sissy, right?
Yeah, sissy.
And he had a crappy compensation plan, and believe it or not, his products were expensive, I thought. And I asked Tom, I begged Tom, I begged him, I said, listen, he wanted me bad because he knew I could bring in he knew I could bring in 500,000 people, in a period of time, getting charismatic and evangelical. But I said to him, I said, listen, I said, will you build me a company designed around what I want? You can own it. You can have all the glory. Just let me build something for the industry that's never been done before with these great products. Because Tom would always brag. One of the conflicts I had with him is he'd always brag that he can make the greatest health and nutritional products scientifically in the world today. And he said he could make them cheaper than anyone else. And then I would always go back to him and I'd say, Tom, if that's a true statement, why are your products so effing expensive? Like,
they were
very expensive, like $200 for this and $180 for that.
And they were confusing. They were like, Resvatra, you drink it with this one, and you got to drink these 3 different liquids.
Yeah.
And he had like these weird, Tom was a great guy. He hated the water filter company the most. He used to just bitch. Oh my God, he couldn't stand that company. And some other stuff. Yeah, I used to hear the same stuff too. And he wanted me to work there. And I was just like, I don't know. I think it was the name, or I don't know what it was.
Yeah, I feel you. I wanted so badly to work with that man in this lifetime, and I couldn't do it because there was nothing attractive to me other than Tom, his money, his power, his mansion, his facilities. He was the Willy Wonka to MLM. He could create anything. He had the power, the money, the political power, the influence. There was nothing he couldn't do. He could match anyone on the planet Earth for anything, but he never did it. And that was the fascinating.
He needed a trusted advisor that could have seen things from a different, maybe you or I could have done that for him, but God rest his soul. He was a great guy.
Yeah, he had his kids.
The amount of time he gave me talking for hours and hours, and I knew how rich he was and everything. I was like, he's just a great guy. So anyway, a lot of there's a lot of products that are garbage for sure. The thing that cracks me up now is a lot of these companies are trying to come out with these giant product lines. I mean, I don't know if they're trying to compete with Amazon or Melaleuca or Amway, but I think that's kind of a dangerous game. I think that obviously Amway is huge, and Melaleuca's carved out a pretty good piece of the pie for themselves. I don't know if there's room for somebody else to do that. I think you kind of have to have a lot of companies don't even have a flagship, like, oh my God, product. I think if you're going to do health and wellness, you got to have something that's just oh my God, this is that you invented this or you created the niche. Now you can get a little bit overboard with like some of the stem cell and stuff like that, which I don't even really believe in that science, MLM wise. But yeah, I mean, I think it, you have to have a good flagship. There's some companies that are really good at marketing. They don't really even have any wow products, but
Right.
I respect the hell out of their social selling and the people in it. And I won't say any names, but like
Yeah.
I watched this one crew, they're not in my company, and they're awesome, man. Like they are just studs. And I learned from them. And, I think because of them and because of the community and the mindset, they're a great company, irrespective of whether they have a outstanding product. I think they have okay products.
Well, I think it's,
But I
I
think
think,
there's a lot of crap too.
yeah, you're
But
building a culture, right? Because all marketing is, it's the art and science for empowering people, and then hopefully product moves. But it's kind of like, you got good churches, you got bad churches. There's some bad churches that probably have massive congregations that really shouldn't
yeah.
even be open today. They should,
Well, it's like a church. Yeah, if you're going to do a good product company, you got to have community, you got to have culture, you got to have good events, killer events. They got to be sold out. You got to make sure you don't, you book the right size places so that it's always sold out,
yeah,
or appears sold out. And yeah, you got to have that. It's like going to church, like you said. I think with info products or memberships and stuff like that, I think it's more about going viral. You got to
right.
get real. You got to have
Viral
speed. If you have
community.
speed, then you can crush it. And then if you have, health and wellness have to open countries. If you have a service, I think you can be in countries a lot faster and stuff like that. I think the greatest. I was number one in 2013, a little tiny company, but if all things were equal in a perfect world, I think the
Yeah.
greatest MLM product is travel, because travel is a happy, it's a happy thing. Nobody goes on vacation in a bad mood. Like everybody looks forward to it. It's like the ultimate thing, right? You're taking a break from work. You're going and meeting family and friends. You're going somewhere you've never been, hopefully. You're doing something exotic. You're doing excursions. Like, so if all things were equal, and I think you'll probably even agree with me, maybe travel's the ultimate MLM product, because you're not stuck with anything. You're using the thing that you're buying, and if you can get a good deal, then it's incredible. The problem is that a lot of these companies don't have something unique, and they're not offering anything necessarily proprietary, so they just have a
Yeah.
bunch of fees and stuff like that. So I'm not a fan of like the $9,000 travel deals or anything. I never was, but
Yeah.
if it's a reasonably priced and it's a clever idea, and you can build some culture and everything, and go meet up. I think World Ventures was good at that. They got people a little bit, almost a little bit too much, because the trips were the business. You want to mix it up a little bit, where you're not always going and meeting and
Do an
talking
event.
about
Yeah.
business. But yeah, but sometimes that's cool to go. My company, we have excursions and stuff, and we like to mix it up. But yeah, I think travel is a great business if it's done right. I think that if you invent something, and you can get ahead of the marketplace, which is what we did, frankly.
Yeah.
I think that can be a good thing. I think that if you can master, like social selling, that other company I was referring to, they've mastered that. I think they're the best at that. Um,
You
I
brought
think,
up something. You brought up something earlier in the presentation. You said something about when you guys were controlling the domains. So I want everybody to think about what I'm going to say here, because this is the
okay.
grand slam of all MLM, if it could ever be done. What I'm going to tell you, because a lot of people try to pick my brains to figure out what's the grand slam to MLM if it could ever be done. There's nothing out there right now that I can see is even close to being a grand slam to MLM right now to make money. It's just you're buying into people's dogma, their belief system, their propaganda. But here's the best business opportunity in MLM that could ever happen. And it goes back to something Pete said, and I didn't interrupt him, but he said at the beginning, he talked about the .coms, and he said, In the real estate, what he could do is he could turn people off. You could turn them off and control their business, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So now think about this. So I just got a bill here for my utility, the electric and the water in my house, not my gas, not the gas. We have gas separate and then electricity. So I just got a bill that I wasn't even aware of because I was away. I was in Toronto in Ontario and I didn't even think about it. So I got this warning. They're gonna cut me off. Like, and I go, why the fucking sorry about the language, but 7-day warning. Nobody gives me a 7-day warning, right? Like, so anyhow, owed them $1,421. You know, and I'm going, where did I get that? You know, like that, it didn't make sense to me. But they got my attention because Benita, my wife, she says, "Here, look at this. They're gonna cut us off in 2 days." And I'm laughing, like, yeah, right. She goes, "No, look at this. We got a final notice. They're cutting us off in 2 days if you don't pay the $1,421." I went over I just e-transferred it from my phone, boom, just paid the bill right there. And I just phoned them and said, "Hey, listen, you got your money. Sorry, I was in Ontario, I was away, and I haven't even seen an invoice from them for 4 months." So what did they have the power to do to me? Turn me off.
Shut you down. Yeah.
Shut my house down. So now imagine an MLM that's a real utility. Now, I'm not talking about like Excel. I'm not talking about Ambit. I'm not talking about solar power, but you got to find what is a real utility. So see, like when I look at a business opportunity, I'm not like all the people that are not where I'm at. You know, I'd have to go back to 35 years ago when I wasn't where I'm at today, mentally knowing how this industry works, where I would say, "Oh yeah, I get excited about that." And "Oh yeah, I get excited about that." And I joined that. I couldn't get involved in a health and nutritional company today. Even if you paid me $1 million, you could say, "Val, I'll pay you $1 million to join it." And you know, you got to be there for at least 5 years. I would not do it. You know, hell would freeze over for that. And I'll tell you why. I don't have any passion. And I don't believe health and nutrition. And I know you're health and nutrition, Pete. This is not a knock.
Bro.
Yes, but I have no passion for it. I don't believe I need an MLM health and nutritional company to keep me going. And I don't believe there's a marketplace amongst the masses for it. There might be on Amazon. There might be, you know, in Walmart or Costco. All right, cool. I get that because I'll buy that stuff too. I got protein powder from Costco. I will not do it through MLM. So, but my whole point being is, so I'm sitting here saying, like, how could we find that perfect utility? Do you know what would happen if your phone carrier cut your cell phone off right now? You'd lose your effing mind. I'd lose my effing mind. If the internet went out in my house right now and I didn't have data on my cell phone to survive, if both units were like, so we need something disruptive like that, where people will never ask the question, or what about this, or what about that? Where I didn't ask EPCOR, it's called EPCOR here in Edmonton. I didn't ask EPCOR a question about my utility. I sat there, I said, "There's the money. I transferred it to you. I'm up. Leave me alone." I have to pay these idiots every single month. Like, you know, I got property taxes for numerous homes, but like one house, $18,000 for property taxes. So I got to pay that, and if I don't, they put a lien on my house. They take the house. So if there was an MLM that we could create, or somebody would create, where it was a necessity that you need to be on that auto ship every month if you want to do that, you know, like internet data, or you know.
What about a Wi-Fi? There's never been a Wi-Fi MLM.
There's never been a Wi-Fi MLM, and I think that would be the best thing. They tried to do with telecom, because remember back, you weren't there, Pete, but back in the 90s, we were all in these binary cyclers. Well, even no, it wasn't Excel, but we had phone cards. So everyone was selling cards through MLM, right? And people were making copious amounts of money through the phone cards. But when you're down in the United States and you're looking at to call out of state was 9.9 cents a minute. To call intrastate, in-state was 14.9 cents a minute. More expensive to call in-state. And then all of a sudden, the big market, like the phenomenons that were happening in 1998, 97, this company's launching, you know, this this VoIP software where you can make phone calls whenever you pay $30 a month. And you can have unlimited phone calls. So the inauguration of VoIP was coming in, but these companies couldn't pull it off. They would bring in they'd bring in 3 million distributors in like 90 days because everyone was positioning himself for this revolutionary VoIP software, never intrastate, never 9.9. All those things would become Jurassic Park. Obviously, they perfected it now. We have a multitude of options, but I'm just sitting here thinking, man, if we could find that utility product, and utility can mean anything. It doesn't mean utility coming into a house. Utility means a necessity that you have to pay every single month or you're screwed. They're coming to get you. That would be the perfect MLM,
Right.
Anyhow.
Yeah, I wonder, the ACN probably does the Wi-Fi, but I'm trying to think, maybe that's too big of a.
I can't even. I don't know anyone
that might be too big of a.
But you had those guys screwed though in real estate. You turn them off. You turn their websites off. So hosting is huge. Autoresponders are huge. These type of things are huge. Nobody wants to change their hosting. Nobody wants to change their servers. Nobody wants to change their autoresponder because they have their list already in there for the last 14 years. So things like that could be like mammoth. Like I'm looking at where people will not make the change. You know what I mean? Because they always say like network marketing is about changing your shopping options. No, it's not. It's finding a way to lock people in. That's how you make money in MLM. Not getting to change their behavioral patterns, lock them in.
Yeah, most MLMs are, buy a product you never had before, and then, justify why you can't live without it. And, that's the whole spiel. But yeah, I agree with you. If it's something that they already have, it's not a buying habit. I think that's where it was the energy companies, they were trying to switch people. And even that's, like you have that
because
debit
they
card.
couldn't even come up with good rates, man. They were still Ambit, for example. I saw them here because I'm in the energy business and the commercial side of things. Like in the real world, I have McDonald's and Dairy Queen and Wendy's. They have clientele that's like mammoth. But Ambit came up here to try to do home residential, and it didn't work, man, because they were still more expensive than the other wholesale resellers up here. But they would say, but the compensation plan will compensate for that. You can make more money and your energy will be free. No, it's not, because they're paying quarters of a penny. It wasn't 25 cents or a buck, for that. It was a quarter of a penny on a kilowatt usage, whatever it is, right? So
it's like that card that everybody's talking about. You know how many swipes you're gonna have to get to make any money with that card from actual usage? The debit card thing.
Yeah, I think that thing's on its way out.
Well, even if here's,
even if it lasts.
I got friends in it. I don't want to talk smack
about
it.
Okay.
But here's the thing. It's about habits. Like, okay, so I had a Fold card, okay, which is a Bitcoin card that they sent me. And at first it was like, you have to load the card, right? So you load it and then you go and you buy something like, oh man, I get to spin. I got free Bitcoin. Oh, cool. But eventually you forget to load the card. And then eventually you forget to bring the card with you. It's sitting home. And then you just say the hell with it. It's just not the kind of habit. It's not something people want to do, where they want to move money around to different things and stuff like that. So that's why that's the biggest challenge, I think,
they're going to have that challenge for sure. And then they're going to have a few other challenges along the way as well.
What do you think? Yeah. What's the best MLM name of all time? I got mine.
The best name? Are you talking about the best company?
Of a company? Yeah. I have a favorite, and I wasn't even in it, but can you think of one you like?
Give me more specifics. Like you could talk about great companies like New Skin, or that have produced. I mean,
that's a cool name.
What's that?
I thought I wasn't in it, and I don't think it was a great company, but I thought the wine deal had the coolest name, Direct Sellers.
Oh,
I thought that was a killer name.
Oh, dude, you know what? I have to agree with you 100%. And it's funny you brought this up, because I've been reaching out, Tracy and I've been reaching out to the founders and other people in that. We'd like to find a rekindle that. I'll tell you, if we could pull that up, Tracy, do you remember we ordered that Direct Sellers, the wine box? We actually sent it because we were in Canada. We sent our first order. We joined the company, and we sent that to Steph Perez. she'll probably watch the Steph Perez in Florida, and it came with a pink ribbon, and it looked like right out of Rodeo Drive. Dude,
Wow.
that would be the greatest. That would have, that would be all my attention would go into another wine company. I don't drink wine. I don't like wine. I don't like the taste of wine. I had a really bad hangover. Benita and I went to friends one night. We polished off 8 bottles of wine. I'm not a drinker. My body doesn't really handle it. And Benita, this is when we were dating.
That's a lot of wine.
It's a lot. And I was laying in bed for 3 days. She was functional. I can't, my body won't assimilate it. I was shaking like a diabetic a little bit. And I was in bed for 3 days. And the smell of wine and the smell of vodka, because I had a bad experience on vodka, trying to drink a 26er at age 17. That didn't go down too well with me either. And so they're dead to me, out of my life forever. But I'll tell you, I know wine is a very beautiful thing for a lot of people. I've got like doctors and lawyers on my street. They drink wine. They have it delivered to their house. Pete, that would be it, man. I would stop everything I'm doing in a heartbeat to do something like Direct Sellers again. That was the most incredible thing.
I never had a problem with it, but I haven't had a drink in 10 years. I just got the bed spins one night from a couple beers. I'm like, I never want to feel this way again. Haven't had a drink it was the summer of 2013. Yeah. No, and all my friends drink like crazy. They drink those White Claws and stuff. And I don't have a problem with it. I just don't want to do it, you know?
Yeah. I can't believe you said Direct Sellers. I can't believe you said that. That was the best thing I think I've ever seen in MLM. And I'll tell you, like, I have friends of mine.
The name was the best.
Oh, Direct Sellers. And they spelt it with a C. It was CELLARS. CEL. Yeah. It was absolutely the most incredible thing I've ever seen. And they had the best videos, and they had the best house parties. And it really made sense. Like it just really made sense.
Also a great MLM product. Celebrating and drinking. You're drinking the product and partying with your friends.
The energy of it, it was all positive. There was nothing bad to say about it. Like, it wasn't about getting people intoxicated. It was about wine and cheese parties. It was about Christmas. It was about Easter. It was about Thanksgiving, entertaining. That was the greatest.
Their challenge, I think, was mailing liquids expensive, and mailing alcohol. Mailing alcohol is tricky, you know, with some jurisdictions and stuff like that. But I mean, we even have probably a mutual friend. He wanted to mail the water, you know, and I don't think he ever launched that. The black water. I love the black water.
I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, that's tough to mail around. It's just so heavy, you know.
Yeah. Well, what Canadians did, we had guys here in Edmonton. So the American border from here would be Montana. If I were to go straight down to be Montana, that'd be about 6.5, 7 hours away. I'm north. And so we'd have guys here in Edmonton. They were runners. They were in Direct Sellers, and they were running down to the border to pick up, you know, a van load, and they would pay the duty on top of it down there. But man, when it came back to Edmonton, it was like the prettiest packaging I've ever seen in my life. And I just know that if somebody had the resources to pull that off and do it the right way and bring in the real wines from Italy and wherever, you know, Italy and France, you know, all the different beautiful places. Here in Canada, we got some of the nicest vineyards in the world here too, where Tracy is in BC. And then in Ontario, like some of the best wineries in the world for people that are, I'm not into that, but we have celebrities, Brad Pitt and all them, they fly up here just to go do the tours, and we got all that here. So they could do a really cool MLM out of Canada in combination with the United States and Canada's manufacturing. If you wanted to do a North American wine party, it could be done. It honestly could be done at the highest quality, great prices, and then, you know, create a kick-ass compensation plan, of course. Right. So anyhow, we've been on here for a long time, dude. Go ahead.
Yeah. I was just going to say, I think the one thing that helps me about getting excited, you're saying, I'm with you, dude, on not getting excited about health and wellness. The thing that does kind of help me is that I'm excited about it beyond business. So I was a raw foodist once. I was a vegetarian. I was a vegan. I fasted for 30 days one time, Val. 30 days, dude. Okay, you talk about hard, man. That was probably the hardest thing I ever did in my life.
I tried to do that.
And I would never do it again. You know, sometimes you overdo stuff, you know. And it's like you smelling the vodka and stuff, but it's like you just can't do it again.
Yeah.
But right now I'm doing the carnivore diet. I've done keto, of course, and all the other ones. But right now I'm doing carnivore. It's, you know, not the easiest, but it's a lot of fun and feel good, and we'll see. So I do have kind of an extra interest in health and wellness beyond just like MLM. But yeah,
Nice.
I just want to see, I want to see, you know, what's the future hold for both of us, for this industry. Who knows, man?
Yeah, it'll be interesting to see where it goes in the next few years. And then, you know, a lot of stuff going on the planet, a little bit of spiritual warfare going on the planet right now. You know, the
Yeah.
United States is like in chaos right now, or I hate to say that, but you guys are, a little bit of chaos happening in the United States, the
Yeah,
election
for
coming up
sure.
here. Hey, very quickly. So two things. How do you feel about politics and MLM?
It's a bad idea. Bad idea. There's one company we've mentioned a couple of times already. They are very political, and they probably shouldn't be. I think that turns people off. Yeah, I mean, you can joke a little bit with people, but I've certainly made jokes on my wall and probably lost people and lost friends. I mean, I've lost friends, real friends from college and like from New York, because they felt a certain way and I felt a certain other way, and I kind of take it lightly. In the end, I always say I'm not a politician. I'm not in that business. I don't get that worked up, you know. I'm not going to be your doormat to tell me your nonsense either. I'm going to fight back if you say some BS,
Yeah.
but I also am going to let it go. And, you know, I have a couple of friends right here in town. My one friend's a doctor. My other friend's a big time network engineer. We, you know, I realized that our friendship was going to be ruined if I let. So what did decide to do is back off when they attack. And I tell them, you know, hey man, I love you, dude. I don't want to argue. I like you more than I like Trump. I like you more than, you know, I like Joe Biden. I mean, let's not go down that road. So I think it's a bad idea. Religion's probably a bad idea too. I see a lot of religious stuff popping up in a couple circumstances. There was an event this weekend that was kind of semi-religious, you know, pretty religious, but I don't know. I think you gotta, you know, what's the old saying? You know, you don't talk about that stuff. Religion, uh, politics. There's like a couple of things you're not supposed to talk about.
Well, I
So
just with the politics, you know, we can joke around about it. I feel the same way. I stay away from the politics. I just focus on the family, but I'll joke around about politics. I do have a strong point about religion, and I don't, you know, if it turns anyone off.
oh,
I
I
just
was
don't.
in church this morning. I'm very, you know, I wouldn't say I'm like, you know, I'm not carrying a Bible around, but
Yeah,
dude,
yeah,
my absolute favorite hour of the week or 2 hours of the week is church, without a doubt. We have live music. I get hugs. We have, you know, we got, you know, a little coffee, and we just, you know, the best people. We have
yeah.
dinner outside of church every other Thursday. We have a party with a couple, you know, about a dozen of us. I love church.
All that
I
is
didn't grow up religious at all. My parents weren't religious whatsoever. So
no. I
yeah,
came
I
from a
love it.
Pentecostal background and
Oh, no
3,600
way.
congregation and speaking in tongues, and I've seen exorcisms. There's nothing I haven't seen, and
Wow.
miracles and all kinds of things. I don't have a problem with that. That's cool. What I have a problem with is when people say God brought me to this company in MLM.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
That's, well, you know, anything to do with God and MLM, God in the home-based business industry. That's what, you know, and it just for me, you know, it pushes me away. It turns me off. I
Yeah.
don't think God endorses, if they're, you know, if you believe in God. I don't believe God is running any sponsorships for any companies out there and endorses any
Yeah.
MLMs. And it's even worse when the Bible Belt people start preaching God and MLM, and then the MLM company goes out of business, and it's just like, and it
Right.
doesn't just go out of business once, but it goes out of business like 27 times for them.
Right.
You know what I mean? I
No,
think
I
that's
mean,
really dangerous.
yeah, Jesus was the greatest MLMer though. I mean, he only
Oh, he was
sponsored
great.
12, but
He was
he
awesome.
sponsored 12 people and that thing grew, man. I'm just
Yeah,
kidding.
pretty
It's
good. Hey, well,
yeah, I
that's
agree. I agree with you on that. Yeah, for sure. You should keep it somewhat light. I mean, at least until you really get to know people well, and then, you know, then you can
yeah. Do that in
talk
your
about
private
other things.
time. Do it in your private time. But
Yeah.
you know, don't bring it. Don't stand in front of a room of 500 people and and start, do that. I like, as much as I love God and love Jesus and love the concept of Christianity, I would never bring that to the table in front of
No, me
my
neither.
money.
Me neither. I think to get back to what you were saying earlier, I think that the future, I think a lot of it may be service subscription based MLMs. So not with the one we were talking about earlier, that one's doomed, but service based subscription MLMs, kind of like you were saying, like a Wi-Fi or something you need.
Yeah, service orientation is gonna be huge, and you'll have, because we're advancing in technology. AI is big right now, but AI is
right.
everybody.
And we're so ingrained to pay for I have an Amazon subscription. I have a,
Netflix.
Costco subscription. I might even subscribe to Facebook now and Twitter, and so there's just subscriptions everywhere. And why not have a subscription that hopefully makes your life better? And
imagine if Costco was MLM, Costco or Netflix was MLM. I'd love Netflix to go MLM. I think that would be like totally awesome.
Right on.
So in closing, what do you think? What do you want to leave with people in closing here tonight? Just people chasing the dream and network marketing. What would be the advice for young people, middle-class people, old people? What would you think?
I think that, if you can link up with a good mentor or somebody to work with, you definitely want to get the support of your spouse and stuff like that, so you can have a good experience. You want to block out time and really treat it like a business. I always say this because I used to run big call centers for homes.com, and people would get sales every day because I'd fire them if they didn't. If I stood over you in a telemarketing room and made you do MLM like that, everyone would succeed. They would just put in the time and they would get it done. The problem is that we don't have anybody standing over us. So I would say block out time, work really hard. You can't control. The one thing I can control is I know I can force myself. I get up at 5:30. Okay. I walk my dogs, I get my coffee, and I get to work. And I that's the one thing I can control. I know a bunch of other crazy stuff's going to happen to try to screw me up, but I know I can get that head start, and that always has really served me well. You got to try to make good decisions. There's no point being a great marketer and even having good people around you if you pick garbage companies that are just, they have no future. They don't make any sense. They're scams. They're not really MLMs. So, I think there's a lot better marketers out there than me. I think there's a lot of really bad choosers, choosers, I call them. They can't choose the right vehicle to run with. And that, I think, is a really important thing, because if not, you're constantly starting over, your reputation gets damaged, you end up not making a lot of money, and it's just a disaster. So, that's really important. Make sure you choose something good. And then, if you're traveling down the wrong road, you got to travel quickly sometimes. If you feel like you've made a bad decision, then, it's okay to stop and do something else. Just don't make a habit of that. You cannot make a habit of that, because you're just it's not a good look. People don't trust you. You don't get any traction. So if you make a bad decision, you got to move on. You better make a good one the next time, so that you can stay with something. Because the thing is, when I got in this industry, everyone was always making fun of people with jobs, like, why would you ever want a job, blah, blah, blah. But to be honest with you, Val, I want money. Things. Yeah, but I want a lot of things that people have at jobs. What do some people have at jobs? And I'm talking about a good job, not a dead-end crappy job, but at a good job, you make lifelong friendships with people, you work on projects with people, and you have security. And I wanted to have those things from an MLM. I want to have lifelong friendships with people that I work with. I want to work on things together. I don't want to be alone, and I want to have security. And so, I want some of the things people have at a good job. So, that meant a lot to me. I didn't want to jump around, dude. That was my big fear, is that I was going to jump around. Because when I jumped in the industry, I did something. Okay, that's stupid. I did the other thing I was telling you about for about a year, a little over a year. Okay. Worked with my buddy for a little while. 6 months later, he wanted to do something else, and then it was like, I'm not going to do this. I'm not doing this. And then I finally, had to put my foot down and say, okay, I'm going to have to go my own way, do my own thing, and stick with it. And for better or worse, I've been able to do that. Again, don't know what the future holds. Who the heck knows? You could be selling marshmallows to Australians
People
in a
with
year. I
fire
don't know,
pits.
man.
Yeah. More
You know,
stuff.
I've learned that too, dude. I don't want to. I don't want to get crushed by anything. I don't know what the future holds. This is a crazy world, man. So I just want to be prepared that if, you know, something happens to, you know, our industry or anything, I mean,
Be okay.
I want to be ready, man. Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
okay. I'm not really worried about being okay, but I don't want to get crushed either. I want to be like, okay, that was a good experience, you know,
Find
and
a
you
new
know, try to,
industry.
yeah, I want to, well, I'd probably stay in this industry, but I just
But even
find
like
what's
say
hot.
something happened to this industry. This industry is becoming a little saturated with a lot of the same stuff. There's not a lot of
Yeah,
innovation going on. AI is changing things to, you know, if you're into the AI thing. I
right,
mean, that's the only biggest change I've seen in a long
right.
time. But how many health and nutritional companies can you possibly launch? How many, you know, credit repair courses can you possibly launch?
Yeah,
Like, I mean, it's
it's
just
true.
it's becoming so far, you know, Mickey
My
Mouse.
first reaction would be to say that I would try to trade, but that would, how am I going to trade
Yeah,
against AI and high
yeah,
frequency trading bots and stuff? I'm going to
yeah,
get wrecked in that too.
yeah.
I
You get
don't know, dude. That's kind of scary. Maybe I would, I don't know. I don't know what I would do.
you better go back
Maybe
to the
go,
.coms and pull people down off their domain.
yeah, maybe be a consultant to tech companies or something. You know, I don't know, man. That's interesting. But I think we got a little ways to go in this industry. I think we got
Yeah,
a
we got
little
a
life
few
left
years.
in us.
We get to run for a little bit here. Hey, we get to run for a
We
few.
got to find a way. People have to find a way to provide a legitimate service and also have a little bit of a kind of a quirk about it that makes it unique and makes it, you know, people want to join and stuff like that, you know. And you know, the Ponzi's, sometimes they do have clever ideas on how to get people, but if you, they have to learn how to apply that to something, you know, that's real, and then be a little more patient. You don't have to make $1 million the first day, you know.
No, no.
It's a crazy world. You know,
Yeah,
you know, and social media with all the influencers and the YouTubers. And I mean, if you talk to a kid now that's 12 years old, they don't want to be a doctor or a lawyer. They want to be a social media influencer. They
yeah,
want to make $1 million making YouTubes and
and
stuff.
they
So
can, and they can.
yeah, I mean, some of them can, right? I
Yeah.
don't know if everybody can,
No,
you
not
know.
everybody, but the ones that really, you know, figure it out. Some brains out there, some young kids have some very sophisticated brains out there, and they figure out some of the
Right,
really cool cult-like creative ways in order to bring in
right,
5, 6,
right.
7 million followers in 90 days, you know, and put out some of the most
It's
weirdest
freaking
stuff.
nuts.
It's crazy.
It's nuts.
Who would have ever thought in our generation? Well, listen, man, I want to thank you for sitting back, relaxing, and just, you know, letting this just flow tonight. We didn't script anything. It was just, and
No.
you know, it's
Hopefully we'll get to hang out in person sometime
yeah.
soon,
Well,
you know?
that's the idea, man. That's the idea. We got to do that. We definitely got to connect face to face, belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball, and jam. I love that idea. That idea is there for the man of
You
his.
been to San Diego?
I've never been to San Diego, but I've been to California.
It's pretty cool, dude. You can stay at the new Margaritaville. It's
The new
pretty fun.
Margaritaville.
I'll tell you what, when it's the dead of winter where you are, you just
Yeah.
you're breaking those icicles off. Just be like, you know what? I gotta go see Pete, man.
Well,
It's
that yeah,
nice
well
out there,
that
man.
too, and you know, but that's the thing. But just going quickly before we close, but that's the whole idea is for everybody to be able to go do that. That was the whole idea for MLM for me was you know, for traveling and seeing the world and you know,
Yeah,
like you know, everyone goes to Vegas and I say, well, why don't we go somewhere different, like Bora Bora or like Maldives or you know, Maldives, call it whatever you want, or you know, just somewhere in the Caribbean. We always go, my wife and I, we always go to
yeah. I've been to
Mexico.
Bora Bora.
But yeah, you've been there?
It's insane.
You've been there?
For 3.5 weeks, yeah.
Oh my God. See, that's what I got to do before I graduate, leave the
Dude,
planet.
I scored the deal. This was in 2005 when there were still travel agents. And everybody goes there on their honeymoon, right? So if you go there and you're not on your honeymoon, you're like a rock star to your girl. She's like, because you didn't have to, it didn't have to be a honeymoon.
Yeah.
So I called the travel agent. I want to tell you one quick travel thing.
Yeah. Go ahead.
I called the travel agent and I said, you know, get me a good trip, you know, get me a good trip. She said, well, you can fly out of LAX to Tahiti. It's only a 7-hour direct flight. Air Tahiti knew it, great airline. This was when the French still owned it too. So she called, I said, all right, just get me a price. I want one of those huts. I want the fish in my coffee table. Like, I want one of those huts, right? So she calls me back. She goes, I booked you. She goes, I didn't book you that long in Bora Bora because it's a small island. It gets a little bit boring. So I booked you 3 weeks in Moorea, which is the island next to the big island. And I booked you, I think it was like 4 nights in Bora Bora. And I go, okay, cool. How much? And she's like, I think she goes, it's 3,500. I go, what?
What?
She goes, yeah, I got this deal.
35,000 maybe. Yeah.
No, it was, dude, it was 3,500. Ended up costing a little bit more with some of the transfers and stuff. I upgraded like the room a little bit, but that was the base, and it wasn't very much, but yeah, it was incredible. And so back to travel. One of my best MLM experiences was I joined a little travel deal with my buddy John, and I had the most sales, and the owner loved me, and he really was appreciative of me trying to help him with his company. So he used to concierge everything for me. And me and my wife, we didn't have the dogs at the time. We only had cats, so it was easier to kind of have somebody feed them. We went on, I think it was 20 trips in 18 months. So they weren't huge trips. They were like 4 days, 5 days. But he would call me. We would get home. He'd be like, dude, I got a cabin at Lake Tahoe. It's normally $1,400. I can get it for you for $250. And I'm like, we're there. And just over and over again for about a year and a half. And that probably one of my best experiences with MLM, because I was a great customer. I believed in what I was doing. I showed people the results of my passion for my product. And I always got a great deal. It was, everybody that did it was happy. So never got one complaint about that company.
Right.
So
too bad it still wasn't around. Yeah. No, that's
yeah. Well, the problem was that he can book all my trips, but what if you scale? He can't book everybody's trips. So that was the limitation of the company. He wasn't really able to scale the service.
Scaling is everything. Yeah, that's going to be hard for any project like that for sure. If you were going to do a massive distributor base, but no, that's cool, man. Well, listen, thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule. Thank God there was no band playing at the bandstand tonight, so we could lock you in here, bro.
Yeah. Awesome summer. Went to live music almost every night. We have a new amphitheater. It kind of looks like a miniature Australian opera house. So that's what Val was talking about in the beginning. Yeah. It's called the Shell. Looks like a big shell right on the water. So if you come, we'll go see a rock band and an
old 70s band. I like to go back to retro. I don't want to see any of the new stuff, but
I saw 87-year-old Buddy Guy wailing on the guitar the other night. Blew my mind. 87 years old, man.
That's insane, dude.
Yeah, it was. I saw 75-year-old Robert Plant earlier this year. Diana Ross. Just some freaking legends, Just music's beautiful. TV's kind of a waste of time. I definitely have learned, and it's also takes.
As you get older, you start realizing these things, right?
Yeah. Plus, if you're doing MLM, you got to work hard. You can't be watching TV all the time. Do an hour at night, to mellow out and slow down, and with your lady or with your man. But yeah, try to be really productive. That's my number one tip, man, is to get up. And I don't have all this fancy stuff. I'm in Messenger. I'm talking to people. I'm talking to 3 different types of people. Either they love what they're doing, they're really happy, I leave them alone, tell them that they made my day. They're doing scams and nonsense. I try to get in their head and say, listen, got to stop doing that stuff. Do something legit. You don't have to do it with me. Got to do something legit. Third type of people don't have a plan, don't know what to do. They're just stressed out. I say, if you don't have a plan, I'll show you one. And that's it. I'm just in Messenger. The only thing I control, I get up really early. I can get to work. I don't know what's going to happen. Might not have success, but I know I can get up early and get started. If you don't take control and block out your time, MLM can be a real disaster. It really can, because they'll find excuses and you won't do it.
Yeah, that's the big thing, is giving people a role. It's one thing to have a comp plan on a product in a company, but if people are not working the program, like they join, right? And that's why Holton Buggs always said it's easy to join a program, it's harder to launch it, because you got to launch yourself every morning into the business.
People think they make money when they join. You don't make money when you join. You make money when you work your ass off. So, all right, Val.
Interesting time. So listen, bro, thank you so much for that. Love you in spirit. Thank you for this great conversation tonight. It was really cool. And It was great to sit here and just chat with you. We haven't talked this
Yes, sir.
long, especially on a video chat. We haven't done this
No.
before, man.
I hope you recover and get some rest.
Yeah,
and feel
thank
back
you.
to
I'm just
normal,
gonna
okay?
chill for the next week and relax and get some things done behind the scenes. I'm
Please.
kind of collaborating with somebody right now on something pretty exciting, but that'll happen down the road here in the very near future.
You
I
always
hope.
are, bro. Keep me in the
Yeah,
loop, all right? Keep me in the loop,
yeah,
brother.
yeah, we will. Well, listen, yeah, you're cool. Tracy, you got the controls here. Love everybody in spirit. Thank you so much for hanging out with us tonight. This fireside chat is coming to an end. Bye for now.
God bless everyone. Have a good
See
night.
ya.